sci-fi radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Alrighty, it's another Thursday night, which means Docking Bay 94. You could be listening to us on sci-fi.radio. You could be watching us on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or, I don't know, anywhere. I'm Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby.
This is just Donoho.
I'm Colleen Kaylee Crosby.
And thanks for being here, eh? Glad to have all you all.
For sure.
I love this thing where like I fix a couple problems and then like another one crops up at the last minute. like Jeff can't hear the theme music in the background for some reason because Zoom is not picking up the normal microphone that I use, which is the output from my computer. It's really weird. I have him actually like plugged in to the board.
And we also still don't have you on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I have to go post a link on Facebook because Facebook is punishing me for something really stupid. Yeah, apparently you're not allowed to link to parody website Wikipedia articles. They had a big cow over that, so I'm in the doghouse for 30 days, and I will go post the other links in the thing so that people can check us out.
Yeah. Well, Alan is over on YouTube.
Hey, Alan.
Sweet.
And Don and Talonthorn and Laura are all over on Twitch.
Okay. Well, it actually doesn't even look like we have a placeholder on Facebook, which we did last week. It gave us a thing where it's like, oh, we tried to do this, but we're not allowing you to do it, which is real strange. So,
yeah.
Oh, well, Facebook can be a real jerk sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And, but if you do see the article that I posted like an hour ago, that does have all the links for you. So if, sorry, Facebook people. I tried. But, and I tried to fight the thing too. I'm like, go to the website and look. It's not my fault that you guys chose a picture you didn't like to represent the Wikipedia page, which is basically what happened. It chose a thumbnail, and then it didn't like the thumbnail that it chose, and it's blaming me for it. It's really
crazy.
Stupid. Yeah, really, really stupid. It was apparently a picture of Bert with Osama bin Laden. Which was part of the whole Bert is Evil website that used to be around. It also showed him with lots of other world leaders, but whatever. That was the one it chose, and they're like, "You can't do that. That's promoting terrorism." So,
oh geez, really?
There you go. So sorry, Facebook people. We love you, but Facebook doesn't love us.
Yeah.
So,
Shame.
I will tell you guys right here at the start, we are flipping zombies tonight.
Yeah.
Everybody said Colleen was dozing at her desk. I have been narcoleptic all day, just like drifting in and out of sleep, which is terrible. Jeff is completely wiped out. It's
been fun.
Yeah, I'm sure part of it is like the COVID recuperation. I got smacked hard with a weed smoker. Was WesterCon this past weekend?
WesterCon?
WonderCon. Sorry.
WonderCon, yeah. It was this last weekend.
Yeah, so WonderCon was this past weekend.
Dawn said it was wonderful.
Yes, well, I'm glad that Dawn got to see some of it. I saw Dawn's amazing pictures of him in costume. I saw about an hour's worth of it because I went down to help with the masquerade and ended up, not only did I end up shepherding lots of people who went to the wrong space to see the masquerade. They went to the arena to see the masquerade, and it wasn't in the arena. It was across at the new building that's on Catella, the 200 building. And so I like 35 people who were lost wandering around going, I don't think the masquerade is here.
You see, they should have tried Hare Krishna. It probably would have helped them.
Right. Jews for Jesus. But then Robert Stack would have come and beaten them up, so it would have been
Oh
tough.
my gosh, Talon Thorne has a broken tooth. Ow.
Oh, not cool. Not
Agreed,
cool.
dude.
Jeff, did you ever get your tooth problem fixed?
My tooth problem? No, it stopped doing whatever it was doing. It was like a sinus. When I started taking some serious sinus clearing medicine or whatever, it basically went away.
Oh,
So-
I've had that before where your sinuses are so bad that your teeth hurt.
Yeah, this was felt like
That's brutal.
it literally felt like a wisdom tooth coming in because I've had that before.
Yeah.
An actual wisdom tooth coming in and like impacting, and boy, that was painful as hell. That's what it felt like, but
Oh.
that's not what it was. So I don't know.
Well, my experience at WonderCon this weekend was largely just volunteering for Masquerade. Martin Jaquish was cool enough to ask me to come down, like as a fireman, basically. So like if something happened, if there was a fire, that I could help put that out. It ran really smoothly. Everything was terrific, except at the beginning we had lost people, and at the end, one of the guys, and I hope he's doing better.
Yeah.
This was Nick from Saber Guild. He injured his knee during the show, during the halftime show. And so I ended up taking him home, shuttling a couple other people around, getting a wheelchair for him and things like that. And so that was the fire I put out at the end of the night. So that's how I earned my keep. But I couldn't get myself to WonderCon on Sunday. And I couldn't get myself there early enough on Saturday to really see any of it. I feel bad about that because I feel like it's a little bit of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even get to wander around the dealer's room really, which was sort of a drag. So, but I had fun. I saw lots of people I knew, and that was fun. And I was glad to be helpful, and I had a great seat for the Masquerade, which was terrific. Phil Folio usually does the MC duties at the Masquerade. He couldn't make it, so Ashley Eckstein filled in, and the voice of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, and so she had a lot of fun doing it. She's like, and so last year we were on the judging panel together, she and I. And she's like, "This is so much better than judging." She looked over at me and she's like, "This is so much better than judging." But she did the thing that Phil Folio does, that basically the
counting thing?
Yeah, basically people take over from the audience and they're like, entry number 3, blah, blah, blah. And it like goes on for frickin' ever. Except because Phil Folio wasn't there, it wasn't very organized. And so basically it was a mob that would like shout for a minute and a half. And then she would just kind of go, "Okay, well, somebody said this over there. That was fun. Do that again next time." It was insane. It was just a big, massive mob of whatever. But
Gotcha.
Anyway, she pulled it off. She did a great job. The costumes were great. It had a much more feminine vibe to it.
Yeah.
Than many masquerades, which have been, sometimes they skew very masculine, where it's like a lot of dudes in armor kind of, and this had a lot of like big fluffy dresses. So I think people are starting to get back into the masquerade feel from COVID, where like last year, I think we had a lot of what people had on hand. And this year, I think people made costumes expressly to take to the masquerade. And the ones that we saw here at WonderCon, I'm sure will turn up at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, Mella.
And things like that. So it was pretty cool. Hey, Mella.
Hey, Mella. Mella's on there now. Woo!
Hey, Mella. So that was your whole experience at WonderCon, Sean?
Yeah, it was short but sweet, and but the reason I brought it up, and the reason I had remembered that I had gone to WonderCon, we were talking about being wiped out and stuff. When I went to pick up our wounded Saber Guild guy, there was a guy outside smoking weed, like right next to where I picked him up. And like the security guards are there, police are there, and they're like, "Is he with you?" We're like, "No, please feel free to get rid of him." But nobody wanted to do anything to like usher him along. Yeah. And I'm like, really, guys, this is so. I'm still having the weed cough that I get, and that was the thing that made attending WonderCon really crappy. Is that basically I came back with a lack of breath. So
Okay.
boo, boo, I say.
And then
Wow.
Jeff, you went to Knott's Berry Farm?
Yeah, it was celebrating David's birthday at Knott's, so we went there and didn't do any rides. Just basically went and had a lot of the food. The special the festival food.
No, that's cool.
Did you have anything boysenberry?
What I had was the cauliflower bites that have with a boysenberry curry drizzle.
That's weird.
Yeah, and it was actually really good. So that one was really good, and then Sparrow had a veggie chili that had like it was like boysenberry. I guess you would call them. I think they're crostinis, like two of them on top of that. And we also had some of the beer, whatever they had. Different boysenberry and other berries, other type of berry beers like huckleberry and stuff. Beers. It was like a little flight.
That's fun.
Yeah, and I think what else I had. I mean, there was like there were some blondies and stuff like that, some dessert things, and I had a pizza which is not showing on. I went to the website. And it's not showing on here, but there's a pizza that they had at the what the hell is it called? It's like pasta pizza place, whatever they've opened fairly recently. And it was pizza that had like mozzarella and little berries on it. They're like little
Boysenberries?
You know what? I don't think they were boysenberries, but I mean, but it was little berries.
They were trying to break it up
yeah.
because everything else was boysenberry.
And there was a boysenberry in the drizzle, in the sauce and stuff. So it was kind of nice. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to have too many boysenberries at the Boysenberry Festival.
Yeah. But
That's
yeah,
fun.
it was. Other than that, that's pretty much all we did. Was kind of just went around having the food and stuff, and
So
around.
before I mentioned what I did, I just want to say that our friends over on Twitch are having a lot of fun in the next couple days. We've got Laura's getting a new kitty,
Oh man.
and
Tomorrow she's getting a new kitty. Yeah, she's very excited.
Talonthorn's going to a dentist tomorrow to get his
Woohoo!
tooth fixed.
Oh.
And Dawn is getting a new set of Stormtrooper armor. Mando armor, not Stormtrooper armor.
Okay.
Wow.
Full set of Mando armor and 2 helmets.
Cool.
So everybody is doing lots of stuff.
And was that like vacuum formed or armor, or was it like 3D printed? Because that really that changes how you approach building it. Just kind of nuts. So we know a lot of people who make Mando armor that's vacuum formed.
Yeah, or you can make it out of Sintra or some other things. Yeah, different methods. And Lori's watching on YouTube along with
Hey, Lori.
yeah. Alan.
Cool.
All right, so this weekend, at listeners' request, I made Pog Soup, which is a StarWars.com recipe, and it was not good.
And you ended up with so much of it too.
I mean, that's how many servings come in soup.
You
It's
had
not-
like a gallon of it, and it was.
I don't have a gallon of it. There are 5 servings.
Oh, it looked like you had 4 quart containers of it.
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
Each one of those is a single serving.
Oh.
Pog soup turns out to be a red and yellow bell pepper and onion and carrot soup with coconut milk base to
And
it.
how does it relate to Star
Weird.
Wars?
They said in StarWars.com that it was the soup from the Mandalorian. It says any Mandalorian worth their armor was raised on Pog soup.
Okay.
Until a foundling becomes of age or is reunited with its kind, they are under the care of the one who finds them, and then there's the soup. And as a rite of passage, each foundling must drink Pog soup. It must be to see how tough they are, because there was so much curry in this soup that it made me kind of sick to my stomach.
The
That
house
explains a lot.
smelled like the Indian restaurant down the street. There was so much curry.
Awesome.
I'm
in
going
the
to
house.
try one more serving of it. I'm going to add yogurt to it to see if I can kind of tone down some of the curry. If you do decide to make Pog soup, which is a meal for a Mandalorian, I would just recommend, if you are not a I eat Indian food all the time person, you know, one who just, like, I enjoy Indian food, but this was a lot of curry. I would
Okay.
say pull back on the amount of the curry ingredients in it, and it's probably fine then. But it was a
Oh
little
man, goodness.
poggy for me. Yeah. And then Sean hit Disney on Tuesday.
I did. I thought I would do something a little different. And usually when I go, I tend to wear, some kind of Star Warsy, Disney boundy kind of things. And this time I was just kind of thinking, well, they just reopened the Indiana Jones attraction after a bunch of fixes. And so maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should dress somehow, indie. But I feel weird about wearing my Indiana Jones stuff these days. There's so many guys running around who are doing Indiana Jones. So I did as Dad. I sort of bounded as Henry, which was kind of fun. And of course it won't show it, because that's what I want to see. Hold on a second.
Oh.
And let me see if
I mean,
can.
you bounded as Henry before, so Actually, you totally did the Henry before.
Yeah, and I have like most of the costume. This is weird. Yeah, I've got this display capture thing. Oh, there we
Yes.
go. Okay, let's try that.
It's working now. Here we
Yeah.
go.
So the
huge.
thing that was really great was I have been looking for a very long time for the Holy Grail that they released. They released a ceramic Holy Grail as part of their Indiana Jones collection of stuff. We talked about the Staff of Ra headpiece, and they have the idol and a voodoo doll from Temple of Doom and things like that. And I got COVID last year and I missed it. They released it in that time frame that I had COVID and I couldn't go to the park for like 2 weeks or whatever it was. And I missed it and it never came back. And so I walked in looking like that. And I walked up to the counter in Adventureland, and the woman looked at me and she started laughing and she's like, "That's great." She's like, "How can I help you?" And I just kind of leaned over. I'm like, "I seek the Holy Grail," and which was really funny. So she went out and she got me the Holy Grail, which was super cool. And it was really great. And so I went over to Bengal Barbecue, had some Bengal barbecue, and checked out the Grail and made sure it was cool and everything was terrific. And then I went on the Indiana Jones ride, and so the ride is like maybe 95% back to where it was when it first opened. So you walk through the line, and I waited in like kind of a longish line just to sort of make sure I got to check everything out. And what's really funny though is that you wait outside the ride in a long line, and then the minute they let you in the door, you kind of blast through the rest of the line.
Pretty much.
Because it doesn't back up in there. I guess they thought it was like too claustrophobic or something. So the bamboo pole that sets off the ceiling spikes works again. which is
Oh,
great.
finally.
The the dig where the guys are digging in the plinth in the middle of the atrium room, that works again. They're rotating through all the movies in line, which is the safety spiel and the Eye on the Globe newsreel. That's back. And then when you go down and get into the ride, the thing that wasn't working that I was kind of hoping they would fix, but I kind of understand why they didn't, because it probably took a fair amount of effort to do this, was the 3-door selection that used to work. So when you pulled around the corner, there was one of 3 doors that you would go in, and sometimes you would go in on the left, sometimes the right, sometimes the middle. But for years now, you have just gone in through the middle, and so they do that. It's just the middle now.
It blows.
And the but they changed the projection on the door, so it's really fancy. So you know, when you pull around and you're like, oh, the wealth of Mara, whatever, and you've got all this gold dust and magic stuff happening, and it's kind of amazing. And then they redone all the projections in the room itself so that they're super high resolution, which looks great. And all of the special effects are fixed, with the exception of one, which was they used to drop rocks on you. You used to there were falling boulders that would fall as you drove by, as Mara like blew stuff up with her laser eye we went by the big giant face of Mara. That's not happening, but everything else is kind of spruced up a little bit. The lighting is much brighter in there, so you can kind of see what's going on. They replaced the snake that dives at you, and one of the weakest effects that they've always had in there, and you and I have talked about this a lot, Jeff, was they had this vapor projection where vapor would fall from the ceiling in a mist, like a mist screen, and they would project a low-hanging tree branch with rats running across it.
Yes.
And there was a projection thing that was earlier in the thing where you like come in and your headlights flicker and there are bugs on the wall.
Yes.
That always worked really well. And this thing with the rats in the branch never worked at all. It was like they tried it, it failed, but they didn't just like get rid of it. And so they've gotten rid of it now. And so there used to be a big section where, because sometimes you wouldn't get that at all. And so there were like 2 whole rooms you went through that were just pitch black. And so the first one with the rats jumping off the branch, that's gone. And now you see spirit electricity running through it, the way at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where everybody's getting hit with spirit energy. All the Nazis are getting zapped. It's that kind of electricity going through there. And then when you round the corner at the far end of this other room, there's a tunnel, and the tunnel has a couple of flaming chalice things, and it's collapsing. You see everything falling in on itself, and it's all just projection, but it looks pretty good. And that used to be nothing. So big thumbs up for doing that. And then, the rest of the ride is pretty much as you expect it to be. The difficulty that we had going on the ride is that we went through this new area with the collapsing tunnel, and we rounded the corner, and it's where the darts hit you. Yeah. And the ride stopped. But it didn't stop, and we didn't get a thing going, please remain in your Jeep, whatever. We didn't get that message. It just stopped. Forward momentum. The music cue that usually happens ended, and it didn't pick up the next music cue, and we just got stuck there. And but instead of grinding to a halt, the car kept doing its "I'm bouncing around a corner" move. So we sat in the car like shaking for about 2 minutes, which was really weird. And everyone's in the car going, "This is really strange." And then we got stuck again underneath Indy when the boulder was supposed to come down. And we were under that for like a minute and a half.
Oh, wow.
It was really bizarre. Very, very strange.
Yeah. Is John Rhys Davies still only in the one part?
How do you mean?
They at one point they took him out all but at the end where he says, "I help you, help you with strollers,
Oh,
from
right. In the car.
you know.
No, he
Yeah.
talks to you through most of it. And he's certainly there as you start, please not to look in the eye of Mara and that whole thing. And there is some audio that comes through the speakers that, but he seems to be back to where he used to be, where he had a lot more dialogue.
Okay, I'm glad they brought him back because it was weird. It was just kind of weird to have the other guy for a lot of it. So
Yeah, it was strange. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. It was the only ride I rode because it was busy. It's like spring break at Disneyland, so it was very, very busy. But I'm glad that I went on it. And the thing that's really funny, so going dressed as Henry, a lot of people kind of noticed and gave me a little nod or hey, that's pretty cool. But people who knew me because I didn't have Star Wars stuff on blew past me. I had one cast member spot me and she came over and she's like, wow, you look really dapper today. And I sort of explained the costume. That was Shar, who used to work in Galaxy's Edge and now she reopened Toontown.
Oh, okay.
So she was over there. And everybody else just I kept walking by people that I knew and I just kind of go hey, and they're like, hi. And they just keep walking. So it's really, really funny. I'm like, well, yeah, they keep walking. I'm just going to keep walking. I did go into Toontown, which has since reopened. There's a lot of park space now in Toontown. So remember where the Chip and Dale treehouse was?
Yeah.
With the ball pit and all that? That's all gone, and it's just a park. And then there's a park closer to the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And then there's a park right in front of Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, which is also back open again. So there's a lot of fake grass park areas. There's a new tree area they put in that you can climb around on the roots and stuff, which honestly looks a bit like an accident waiting to happen. Because all the tree roots are cement and they're low. And I'm like, huh. So that was kind of strange. But, it was interesting to walk through there and Mickey's house is open and Minnie's house is open. And that's all kind of back to normal.
Cool.
And a lot of people were taking advantage of it. They were really having a lot of fun. The kids were going nuts in there, which is the perfect place for kids to go nuts in. If there's a land in Disneyland where kids can be sort of untethered, I feel like Toontown is it. They're less likely to get clobbered than they are in say Fantasyland or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it was a good day, and I got 12 or 13,000 steps in or something. I feel like I didn't think I was going to get many in at all, and so I did a lot of walking, and had a pretty decent time, just kind of chilling.
Great.
Cool.
Awesome. So Jeff, did we talk about all the stuff you did, or do you have anything else to add about your?
No, nothing really. Just that dress adventure. That we
All right,
talked
well-
about before the show. So
Yeah.
Fight with a dress.
Do we want to start Star Wars?
Star Wars history. Let's do it.
So sad. No music anymore.
Well, you can't hear music anyway because of
Yeah, I
whatever's
know.
going on with the technical thing.
I know. Start off with we have a birthday of the March 27th, 1943 is when Grant McCune was born. Model maker and Brian Lamb, chief model maker. Most basically on just my brain's not working. Star Wars: A New Hope, the very first Star Wars, and then after that he was at Apogee working on a crapload of other movies.
Yeah, so in case you guys don't know, Industrial Light and Magic was originally founded in Van Nuys, California, near the airport. And the building that ILM took place in, which is still there, you can still drive by it, and it's an architectural sign shop now. They became Apogee Effects when everybody else went up north to form ILM, and John Dykstra said, I'm not moving. And he basically stayed there in the same building. And then when Dykstra moved out of there, it became Grant McCune Effects. and it was it was still special effects up until Grant passed away in 2010. I can't believe it was that long ago that he passed away. I feel like it was more recent than that.
Yeah.
But anyway, super talented guy, and really loved his work, and it was pretty amazing. And he got an Academy Award for Star Wars with John Dykstra and the team. So
man, but a pretty good. IMDb has about 22 credits, and then a couple of.
Well, and at least one of those should be Battlestar Galactica.
Yes, it is.
Because John Dykstra, when they stayed behind, they did all the Battlestar Galactica spaceship shots.
Yeah,
it was super cool.
So a lot of work. Pretty cool. Next up is the regular history. March 27th, 1985 is when Billy D. Williams got a star on the Walk of Fame.
Very nice. Well deserved.
March 28th, 1985 is when Star Wars Triple Bill played in 9 cities in the U.S. and Canada, which I did go to, I believe. It was way back when.
Yeah, I have a button somewhere that says, I saw the trilogy with the date on it. It was like a big, and it was a big freaking button. It was like those giant Disney buttons you get.
Yeah, it was a gauntlet, man. Just for those 3 movies alone, that was a gauntlet to go through.
And what's funny is that I have since done like more and longer marathons, but there was something about it. The weird thing was, I think it was AMC Theater did one in the late 80s, early 90s. Must have been the early 90s, like 1990, 91 or something like that. Colleen and I were living in Pasadena. We went to go see it, and there were all these kids running around going, "Oh, we get to see Star Wars. This is really great." and I'm like, "Well, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool." And then it clicked that like these kids hadn't seen any Star Wars movies on a screen at all. Yeah. Because they were too young. Because the last one was in '83, and so these 7-year-old kids are like, "Yeah, Star Wars in a theater." It's like, oh man.
Yeah, and then it was quite a while until they came out again, but then it wasn't in that original condition. So
right. No special editions then.
Exactly. The last bit is March 30th, 1991, at the 64th Oscars. George got the Irving Thalberg Award.
It's not an annual award, which is really funny. It's an award that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences does at the Governor's Awards ceremony to people who, and this is their description, whose bodies of work reflect a consistently high quality of motion picture production. And honestly, if that's not George Lucas, who is it? You can argue about story, you can argue about whatever. You cannot say that the Star Wars movies were poorly produced.
I don't know. They varied quite a bit from what they started out as, but
Well, being the most expensive independent movie of all time. The first Star Wars movie. Yeah, that sure changed with Disney, didn't it?
All right, so I'm going to hop over this one label spoiler because I feel like we don't want to give spoilers.
I guess so.
Yeah, let's not talk about it yet.
It's like something that was in an interview on, I don't know what channel it was, but
All right, well, let's just skip it for now because it's a spoiler.
Well, and we also haven't finished out the Mandalorian season, so let's wait till that plays out to talk about it.
And this isn't technically, well, I guess it is kind of Star Wars news, but it's about Mark Hamill, and he uses his Luke voice to give an air raid warning in Ukraine. Do you have the ability to play that for us, Sean?
I do. Is there there is a sound file. Yeah. Here, hang on a second. Let's see.
And it is Star Wars, and it is the Luke voice. It's not just Mark Hamill.
Right. Let's see here. Let's see if you guys can hear this.
Attention. Air raid alert. Proceed to the nearest shelter. Don't be careless. Your overconfidence is your weakness. Attention. The air alert is over. May the force be with you. Attention. The air alert is over. May the force be with you.
Увага! Відбій повітряної тривоги.
That's pretty cool. Now, if you have been paying attention, you will know that the president of the country has been wearing a shirt with the sort of logo on it that also features an X-wing, which is really super cool. So he's a big
Big
Star Wars fan. Yeah. So that's kind of fun. And you know, I mean, as fun as you can make an air raid. I mean, it's kind of weird, but I wonder who made the request that he do that.
No, maybe he did, or maybe somebody heard that Zelensky was a big fan and made it happen for him.
I'm looking to see if I can find. Oh, here's actually this is a really great picture of it. Let me throw this up here, and I'll show you guys who are watching us on video. There we go. So there's Zelensky. He's in the middle of a Zoom meeting there, and if you look on his sleeve, he's got a yellow and blue logo, the close-up of which contains an X-wing in the middle of it, which is super cool.
Awesome.
And so, you know, as a Star Wars fan, this is a shirt that he's seen frequently wearing in interviews and walking around when he doesn't need to be in uniform. So, yeah, I thought that was really, really kind of cool. You can also find that shirt online. There are some people who've made copies of that shirt. Although, notably, it is a Resistance X-wing. So it's a T-70, I guess, model with the split wings, which is just kind of a cool note. They are less Rebels and more Resistance, I think. It's more fitting.
And then we've got a review of last week's Mandalorian, Chapter 20, The Foundling. Not this week's, which, gotta say, it's going to be really hard because I think that this week was
This week
the
was
best
pretty
episode that they've had this season.
amazing, yeah. And that's the thing.
But there was a lot notable last week too, so, or at least some.
Right. And there's on the plus side, they're ramping up. They seem to be like getting better. Although I know a lot of people who really whined about this week's episode too.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, it's really dumb." Which is strange,
Wow.
but you know, honestly, I'm liking all the stories they're telling me. And like I got to tell you, we haven't been watching Bad Batch. And I couldn't sleep last night. And I think I watched like 6 episodes last night, until about like 3:30 or something in the morning. It was raining hard. And when it rains hard, I can't sleep. And then I watched like another 6 today. I still have a couple more to go. And the Bad Batch is pretty good. And those stories were getting better. The Bad Batch is always like slightly hokey to me because it looks like video game cutscenes. But, you know, it's been pretty good. But, yeah, gosh, we got so much Mandalorian lore in the other episode. Should we do a 10-minute?
Yeah, let's do 10 minutes and we'll come back at 7:50. That's
Okay.
7:50.
So if you don't want to know about not this week's episode, but last week's episode, it's been a week since episode 20, which was season 3, episode 4, called The Foundling. If you don't want to hear anything about that, come back in about 10 minutes. and we'll talk about our experiences here. And if you want to, you can totally join in. We're glad to have you chime in on the chat and stuff.
Okay. I mean, I want to make sure that I'm not confusing the two episodes. So I can talk about the new robes, right? That I want to talk about with the special guest, or was that from this week?
You can, because that was a flashback.
That was a flashback,
right?
from last week.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
I just double checked.
So why don't one of you talk about the character, because that was a big thing, and then I'll talk about the costume.
Okay, so first kind of a little bit of a recap. It covered a whole bunch of stuff that was kind of around kid stuff. So we had kids training. Din Djarin sort of encouraged Grogu to get involved in the training, which he hasn't really done so far. That sort of opened things up to Grogu being sort of taken in hand by the armorer, who then proceeded to make sort of Grogu scaled armor for things like that. And one of the things that we haven't really known about Grogu at all is, how did he survive Order 66? Because he's like, what, 52 or 3 now? Grogu's like our age. That's really disturbing. But he managed to survive Order 66, and we didn't really know how. And so we get a flashback from his point of view that's triggered by the armorer, and we see that there was one particular Jedi on Coruscant in the Jedi Temple that saved his butt, which was kind of cool. Actually, people are taking that and they're making all sorts of memes about it now. But I can't think of his... Kelleran Beck, I think, is his name.
Yeah.
And we can't hear you, Jeff. You've gone silent somehow.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We lost Jeff.
Yeah.
Hello, Jeff.
Jeffless. I don't know. Do you want to have you didn't say who that was, have you?
No, I haven't said who the actor was.
Okay.
Kelleran Beck, we'd seen him before. If you've been watching additional Star Wars stuff, Kelleran Beck was the host of a game show called Jedi Temple Challenges, and it was played by Ahmed Best, who was Jar Jar Binks. We've seen him in other roles in Star Wars where he didn't have the makeup on and things like that, like Episode 2. But he played this Jedi character who was running kids through these challenges to get them to build lightsabers and stuff. And so it was really interesting to see him come back and to be the guy who actually saved Grogu. And why don't you talk about costumes, Colleen? Well, I try to see what's going on
and fix Jeff?
with Jeff. I can't figure out why we can't hear him.
So, in addition to it being really cool that they brought Ahmed Best back and put him in a role where people were likely to not be as violently horrible to him, his Jedi robes were beautiful. There is gold embroidery that's all around the edges of the collar that go all the way around here, and it's text, that he worked with them, I believe, to create, but it's the same one from the Kelleran Beck costume. It's the same one that he wore for the game show that he did.
Well, the one that he did for the game show was very specifically taken from Disneyland. It was that kind of stuff because they wanted to connect it to Galaxy's Edge.
Uh-huh.
And this one was a bit different. And
I thought the embroidery was from the old costume, but I'm looking at another picture now and I'm realizing that
wasn't.
It's not.
That was
It's absolutely beautiful, and I was very I was very impressed with it, and I'm like, oh, I'd like to do something like that. But I think that if I recall, I read a story, and now, of course, I can't find this information, that text has something to do with the place that Ahmed Best's family is from, like that he's descended from.
Well, Shauna didn't get into that much detail on it, unless like Ahmed Best said something about it. But and she said she'd talk about it at Celebration in detail. But what she did say is that she worked with Ahmed Best to come up with that, and it's very personal stuff to him, and it is got sort of Afro-futuristic tones to it, and
Right.
it's a very, very personal thing for him.
I thought that I had read something where he said that, but honestly, it's been at least a week since I read that, so I could have dreamed that.
Right.
I wouldn't put it past me to have dreamed something like that. At any rate, it is a beautiful addition to Jedi robes, and I would love to see when people start to recreate this, if they do a really good job. And I'm hoping that they do.
Hey,
And
I got
is
Jeff back.
All right, can you hear me this time?
Yes. Oh my
Hey,
God.
wow, what do you know?
And Don says he didn't recognize Ahmed Best when he first saw him.
Well, I mean, honestly, how would you?
Right.
Because you wouldn't recognize him as Jar Jar. It's also been 20-something years since episode 1. And he was in episode 2 in the bar as a completely different character. He and Anthony Daniels were both military officers in the bar that Obi-Wan and Anakin go in looking for the shapeshifter. And so they're in there in the background. So we have seen them in Star Wars without their character on.
You know what? Gotcha. I found the text that I was thinking of, and it's basically what Sean said along with what I was thinking of, and that it's Ahmed Best collaborated closely with costume designer Shauna Tripsick on the look of Beck's robe and tunic, incorporating elements of his own tribal tattoos as well as Afrofuturism symbols. Best teaches a course on that, I guess. It just says Best teaches a course at Stanford.
Afrofuturism probably would be the course that he would
right.
do.
Into his outfit's gold detailing.
It's a really popular topic right now on college campuses, and Colleen and I see a lot of this stuff come from
science fiction conventions.
Stephen Barnes is always talking about it,
yeah,
and things like that. What I was kind of hoping is that some of those things also represented the various challenges at the Jedi Temple Challenges game, which I thought would be really fun. It's like if some of those were that. But Shauna says she'll get into super detail on it at Star Wars Celebration. She gave me just enough to like make me stop asking.
Oh, did you ask on Facebook or did you see her?
I asked her on Facebook.
Yes. I wasn't sure if she was. I know she's been in.
She's been in like
Central
Prague
Europe.
or something, yeah.
But I would caution people, if anybody is wanting to replicate these, knowing that this is tribal tattoos and
just knowing
incorporating
that it's
symbols like that.
Yeah.
Tread cautiously with actually replicating it exactly if you're not of the same heritage, because it's kind of not cool.
Just knowing that it's personal to him.
Yeah.
Make up your own stuff.
Yeah.
Is what I would suggest.
Yeah, that would be fine.
We talked so much about costume. We didn't really talk about the episode.
Sorry. Well, you and Jeff didn't get a chance to say much of anything.
I know. Poor Jeff.
You've got 1 minute. Say something.
I like the little critters that they got to have as little steeds at the end of the episode. Well, that was pretty neat.
Right. They picked up some mounts apparently, because there was a whole rescue subplot where they were rescuing one of the other foundlings, and which is important because it comes into play in this week's episode in a very big way. And that whole rescue, which was mounted and executed by Bo-Katan, very much endeared her to the Mandalorians, who were very on the fence about her. For somebody who started this season very ambivalent, she's getting very involved in stuff, and it's very interesting to watch. I still think that the whole concept of the Mandalorian, crew is like kind of cultish to me, but if we're lucky, that'll change. So, and we will talk about more about that when we get to talk about this week's episode next week.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Do we want to discuss this Ahmed Best on coming back to Star Wars, or did we kind of cover that?
I think we should talk about it a little bit, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, yes, it is a huge redemption for Ahmed Best." I don't really see it that way. I mean, I love that he's back doing a thing, but I don't think he has anything to apologize for with Jar Jar Binks, except maybe that Jar Jar is the guy who put the Emperor in power. That was a bad character choice. But in terms of his portrayal, I think what he did as Jar Jar Binks was fine. And, he did his best job as an actor with the role and the dialogue he was given. And so I don't see this so much as like a saving grace for him. I just see it as more of him being awesome.
I got into a discussion about this on Facebook with someone.
Yeah. And what was the outcome of that?
The outcome was that they were, I'm trying to remember what they were saying, but my response to it was, someone said, to be fair, episode 1 was really bad. And my response to that was, that's not being fair, because that has nothing to do with him. And I mean, his acting wasn't bad, so it's not his fault. And even if his acting was bad, there's no excuse for the way he was treated.
No.
So
by fans, might I say, not by the companies or other actors or anyone else. It was by people who pretend that they're huge Star Wars fans, and they really just live to rip it all apart.
It was part of the thing that drove Lucas to sell to Disney, because Lucas got so much hate for the prequels from adults who were like, "This is not my Star Wars," blah, blah, blah. But you know what? They were right. It's not their Star Wars.
And it's not supposed to be.
The Star Wars was for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. They were for the kids of the time of 1990 to the early 2000s that saw those movies as kids. And if you talk to them, and they're 20 years older now than they were, so they're 30 years old.
Yeah.
I've talked to so many 28, 30, 32-year-old adults who are so excited to show the prequels to their kids, who absolutely loved Jar Jar. They thought he was great. And, we may have looked at a lot of the stuff because, we were 10 years old when the original trilogy came out, that, it's like, okay, well, this is definitely a little different, a little weird. But those movies weren't really aimed at us. And the same with the last J.J. Abrams movies. I mean, I can drive Star Destroyers through so many plot holes that they're that big in those movies. But in reality, if you talk to the kids who saw them, they think they're the best. They thought they were great. They love Kylo Ren. They love Rey. They love Constable Zuvio. What can we say?
I like with Phantom Menace. I like Phantom Menace, and I never had a trouble with Jar Jar, because I thought that it was like a whole race full of Jar Jars walking around. It was Boss Nass that bugged me a bit, because he was just didn't really seem to match. And I guess he's just a really, really big Gungan, but it just
they got Brian Blessed. What do you want?
Yeah. But it was just him going all kind of stuff. And I'm like, is this for
this?
It's for a toddler almost. It was like, it was really overdone. But
Well, but Star Wars is all about stereotypes, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. I know people were upset with the Gungans, and they're like, "Oh no, it's JJ and Dynamite and Steppenfetchit, and it's like a bad black stereotype thing." But the people working on it didn't see that way, and Ahmed Best didn't see it that way. The black actor playing the character didn't see it that way.
No.
And we have a tendency to throw our own, problems onto things like this all the time. And that's the thing, is that, not to say that there aren't really terrible stereotypes in Star Wars. The Nemoidians were pretty awful with their sort of weird pidgin Asian language thing.
I know, that was
whatever
kind of,
the hell Watto was, I'm like, you didn't sit well. But that's the problem, is that Star Wars is all about these stereotypes, because they have like 2 minutes for you to get who that character is. And so you get a stereotype. In it, and the original Star Wars were that way too. So,
but I mean, even if the prequels were the worst thing ever, that's no reason to treat the actors in it so horribly.
It's no reason to
the
put
horrible things that they did to Jake Lloyd.
And put an actor down so much that they have mental issues later. And the thing about Ahmed Best being back in Star Wars, and he showed up for the Clone Wars, and he's done some other stuff and whatnot, but he took the hate so personally that he talks about almost ending his life off a bridge in New York. He almost jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge, man. And that's not cool when your quote-unquote fans have driven you to do something like that. And of course, he didn't do it, and he went on to have a family, and he loves his family and his kids and things like that. And he's grateful every day that he didn't jump off that bridge. But, when the people you're trying to please turn on you, it's brutal. Really brutal.
Nobody hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans.
I know, and it's just the worst. And people need scapegoats. People have to blame other people. So sometimes, it's an actor. Sometimes it's a producer, or
sometimes it's an entire religion or race.
Oh my God! Just
people suck.
Right. Stop sucking, people.
Yeah.
Suck less.
Be better. Be better, people.
That's what I'm saying.
So let that one go.
At any rate, we talked about, in response to this article, Ahmed Best on coming back to Star Wars, we talked about what the fans said, but did we talk about what he said, like how he feels about it?
No.
Coming back.
That was the article that you had. What did he say?
He said he wanted to come back because of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And it sounds like they convinced him to come back, and that he's really happy that he did. He said, as soon as I put the robes on for my first costume test, and I walked on to get approval from... Sorry, I just got all emotional. And I walked on to get approval from John and Dave, and they handed me a lightsaber, and I was like, oh, I'm in this, besttellstarwars.com, and boom, Keller and Beck came alive.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that's really interesting about this is that 201, when people have been asked to come be in Star Wars, and they find out that they're some sort of iconic character, it's personal and it's moving for them. Like Sam Jackson, who we always look at as like, hard as nails, tough ass kind of guy.
Yeah.
He didn't even know he was a Jedi when they brought him in, and they put him in the costume, and he's like, these are Jedi robes. And they're like, yeah, you're a Jedi. And he's like, holy crud, I'm a Jedi. And then they brought him the case and opened a case and said, pick one of these lightsabers. And that was it. He just like went nuts, and he went all like 10-year-old. And it's just like, people have a connection to Star Wars. It's really, really visceral.
I would like to say that it's really amusing that I get emotional over someone feeling like a costume has changed their like has really made them emotional.
Yeah.
And Sean gets that way over lightsabers and people discovering their inner Jedi.
Well, and it's funny because I
We're just gonna both cry for a
I know
minute.
it's like really terrible. I have done so much Jedi training, and I have seen so many people be changed by this that I just love when it happens. You know, it's just super cool. And I've got like stories and stories and stories that I can't tell without like choking up because people connect to this stuff. And, you know, Star Wars, and it's not to say that other things haven't done this too,
Yeah.
but Star Wars really changed a lot of people's lives. A lot of people glommed onto it, especially the very, very first movie when, you know, times were kind of tough. It was the 1970s. We were kind of recession-y. We'd had a gas crisis. We had a whole bunch of garbage going on.
Oh yeah.
And here was this escapist fantasy where there was this kid living in a craptastic, you know, backwater world, and he got to go off and be the hero. People identified with that. It was really huge, and people wanted to be a part of it somehow. And so when people still want to do that 30 or 40 years later, and it still moves them, it's kind of an amazing thing that
Yeah.
that you know, why is Star Wars still around? And not just because, like, of course, Disney wants to make money off of it. That's
Yeah,
the
true.
easy thing. But if people didn't go see these, even the movies that people said sucked, the last 3 movies that were in movie theaters that everyone's like, oh, those were terrible, still made like $1 billion each. Somebody must like these things still. You know, you don't spend $1 billion on movies that suck.
Oh,
We're
jeez.
Sofia.
Someone's enjoying them. This is sci-fi.radio. If you are listening to us over the interwebs, you could be watching us on YouTube, Facebook over on sci-fi.radio on their Facebook page, and on YouTube and on Twitch. You can't see us on my regular Facebook page. I'm sorry about that. I'm in the doghouse of Facebook.
Yeah.
But however you happen to be tuning in, we are very grateful for you to do it. The show is called Docking Bay 94. I am Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby.
Jeff Soledado.
I'm Colleen Kaylee Crosby.
Kit Boba-Kit Sovine does our links and stuff, puts our control document together, and we are all very grateful when you guys tune in so that we're not just talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
Now that we can hear Jeff.
Yeah, I know. What the hell?
Good Lord.
Moving on to theme parks. The first thing that I want to talk about is an opinion piece from a newspaper that talks about Disneyland frequently, which is odd because it's in San Francisco.
It's SF Gate, right?
It's weird.
They have like I've talked to this guy before too. They have like a Disney reporter.
That's funny.
And that's what he does. And
This guy is named Julie, just so you know.
oh, okay. Well, then that's not the person I've talked to. But
Right. Maybe the old guy is gone because this is Disneyland editor Julie Tremaine on why no amount of magical thinking will change the reality of a 2023 park visit. And that reality is that there is no longer an off season in Disneyland. They have succeeded in making Disneyland crowded year round. And so if you can find a day and time where you can go and there aren't super crowds, then lucky you, it's a rare thing.
you know, and I got to tell you, it was pretty busy last Tuesday. The line for Indy was 75 minutes. I didn't have anything better to
boy.
do, so I just stood in it. But
Now, to be fair, it is spring break.
right, and so it's like busy. I think Dan Gentile is the guy that I met from SF Gate, and I think he's reported on Disney.
But I think that something that's led to how busy it is all the time includes not only how they keep doing these nighttime events to
Yeah.
like bring in more people and money,
Mm-hmm.
but I think also it's the huge boom in people being not allowed to, but people are more attuned to both science fiction and fantasy through the expansion of Star Wars and the MCU and all of those things. So it's not just Disneyland now, it's almost all the fandoms. I mean,
Okay.
if you just put in a little bit of Harry Potter and a little bit of Star Trek, you'd pretty much have everything. And some Ghibli.
Right.
So I think that's one of the reasons why it's so popular, is because everybody's sort of embraced their, I don't know, inner child maybe. Because 50 years ago, or even, 20 years ago, it wasn't as okay to be this big of fans of things.
You weren't allowed to admit it.
Yeah.
Is the thing. If you did it in public,
Yeah.
you were socially stunted or something. And I have to laugh. So what opened, was it this past weekend or it opens this weekend? I think it was past weekend. The Dungeons and Dragons movie
Yeah.
opened.
I thought it opened this weekend.
It's this weekend.
It's this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
some people have been seeing preview screenings of it.
yes.
To a one people I have seen who've seen it say they love it and it's really terrific and it needs to be seen. And how different is that from when we were in high school and we were part of the Dungeons and Dragons club, or
Yeah.
whatever group was playing D&D or whatever, that it was uncool and you were getting, in my case at least, getting beaten up, you were dumped in trash cans, having your books knocked out of your hand, people tearing up your monster manual, because not only was it not cool to like these things and you were a nerd or a dweeb or a geek or whatever, in some people's case, you were worshiping Satan when you did it, which was nuts. I mean, it's so very different than, and now people, where was I? Colleen and I walked into GameStop and I was looking at some of the clearance items and there's oh, here's all the Critical Role merchandise, which is basically just a bunch of people who put their, D&D gaming online and made a cottage industry out of it and became
Yeah.
celebrities in the D&D field because people will apparently pay you money to watch you play D&D.
Weird.
How different is that?
Yeah, I know.
It's nuts. But I love, on one hand, that we can, we have all these conventions that people want to go to, like WonderCon, and you get 40,000 people show up. That's kind of insane. Where Colleen and I started going to a Doctor Who convention the second or third year it started, and it was 125 people at the Airtel in Van Nuys, and now it's 4,000 people down by the airport.
Yeah.
Because people know who Doctor Who is and will admit to liking it.
Yeah.
So,
And then moving on to Avengers Campus, there's apparently a new shop coming to Avengers Campus. There's no article with this, I believe. Maybe there is an article. Oh, there is. I thought there was just a photo earlier. But basically, I've reached my daily article limit. That's why I think there's no article with it.
I see.
Basically,
Daily
it's
news,
the area that, if you've been to Avengers Campus, there's a ship, and they sometimes have characters walking around on top of this building.
Underneath the Quinjet, they
Yeah.
have a campus building that's a split level building. It has some big open doors. That is where the trolleys go into Never Never Land. The trolleys that run down Buena Vista Street. But the other half of it was supposed to get some kind of crazy e-ticket sim ride in there, which seems to be backburnered for now.
Yeah.
And remember when they were talking about doing Avengers Campus, how they were going to network them all together, and the
Across the world?
around the world, yeah. So the
okay.
one in Paris would connect to the one in Japan, would connect to the one in Anaheim. And I always felt like whatever they were going to put in there was part of that sort of thing, where it was Avengers Academy or whatever the thing was. But now they're just going to put a shop in there.
Yeah.
I imagine.
That's apparently what they're doing.
I mean, they've already got a bunch of shops in there.
They're
so,
probably going to move the stuff from that big
Like one shop in there.
that big shop that's in California Adventure in that big
Oh,
room.
it's in
got a
Hangar
number.
17.
Yeah, Hangar 17. They're probably going to move that stuff over
Yeah, well, I guess
Yeah,
if they
because it's hard to find that
if
shop.
they do that, they can free it up
Stage
to put
17 says Kit.
some
They could
sort
put a ride
of
there.
yeah, they could put a ride in there or do something else with it.
Yeah.
All right, and
So I imagine they're going to stretch it out all the way over there for expanding it.
across the walkway from DCA at Disneyland, Disney Vacation Club members have a lounge that is opening in Tomorrowland on April 19th. And it is
The Vacation Club is their timeshare
right.
thing.
And I read a great article. No, it wasn't an article. It was somebody was reporting on how awful timeshares are. And it made me actually call my father to say,
Especially the presentation.
you didn't leave your timeshare to me, did you? Because, well, it's great for him. And there are other people, like Mela has timeshares and she enjoys them. But if you're not prepared to own a timeshare and suddenly find yourself in possession of one, as in someone
get hit.
willed it to you, which can happen, suddenly you have a lot of fees to pay that you're not.
It's like owing estate taxes and
Yeah.
stuff all of
Yeah.
a sudden.
And
That's really
since
bad.
my dad has a timeshare in Mexico, and I'm not
Oops.
really interested in going there.
Yeah.
And so I do not want to suddenly find myself the recipient of one. And he said, nope, didn't do that to you. So, yay.
That's good.
Sorry to go off on a tangent.
I'm curious as to how many Disney Vacation Club members there are out there, because this is a pretty sizable place.
There must be
Yeah.
a ton. And it's decorated in a 1960s space theme.
Right, and they're bringing some of the old stuff out of storage to put on display. Like, remember in the gallery when you first walked in up above Pirates of the Caribbean to the Disney Gallery? It was in the apartment that was going to be Walt and Roy's, nice apartment to stay on site in, which they never got to do because Walt passed away. But they would put models on display and things. And for a while you could walk in, and it was there for about a year. You could walk in and they had the Tomorrowland K7 spacesuit on display, which was the cool ring around the neck, ring around the elbows, very like Atomic Man kind of spacesuit thing that was a walk-around character in Tomorrowland. They had it on display. Somewhere I've got a great gallery of all of that stuff. It'd be a fun costume to recreate. But
totally.
they're bringing that out. They're going to put it on display. And is this in... Is
Launch
this so
bay, top floor?
top floor? Okay.
Yeah.
Because the
Wait a minute, top floor of the Tomorrowland Terrace?
no, he said launch
No.
bay.
Launch bay.
Oh, I don't know why I thought it was in Tomorrowland
I thought it was
Terrace.
in the arcade.
It's actually overlooking Tomorrowland Terrace.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's where they used to have a seating area thing, and they'd have whatever for like the fireworks or something at one point.
yeah.
way
Except
back when.
except it's indoors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the launch bay building used to be the Carousel of Progress. Then it became America
Yes.
Sings. Then it became Innoventions, and then it's been a bunch of other things. It was like the Stark Expo, and it was Star Wars Launch Bay most recently.
Yeah.
But they still really don't know what to do with that building. And honestly, I thought that
Yeah.
was what they were going to turn into their Avatar ride. So
Yeah,
maybe
I
this
don't
is
know
just a
what the plan is.
placeholder till it becomes Avatar Land or
The
whatever.
Avatar experience-y thing that you go in and
Yeah,
whatever they're doing.
I can't imagine it's going to be. I don't need to have an Avatar ride in Disneyland, so
Yeah.
it's going to have to be really good to sway me.
Exactly.
All right. And then finally, we go to Florida, where Walt Disney World's Disney 100 celebration will have a different theme each month. So that's kind of fun.
Neat.
Let's see, April is beginning at Animal Kingdom. They'll have Earth Day celebrations and the 25th anniversary of the park, spotlighting conservation and Moana. is hosting it.
That's your meet and greet is Moana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May they're going to do Star Wars, including a 30% discount on Galactic Star Cruiser for annual pass holders.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Galactic Star Cruiser, they decided that they're going to roll that back to 2 days a week, or like 2 missions a week or something, because whatever it was, they were doing one too many, and
Okay.
I think they've been burning people out at a ridiculous rate. The
cast members?
The cast members who work it, yeah.
Oh.
I think it's because each mission is like 47, 48 hours of role playing. It's been like too much.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So, but of course, that Disney scaling that back a little bit has translated into lots of articles across the web going, the Galactic Star Cruiser is failing. And in reality, it's like they're just trying to figure out how the Galactic Star Cruiser works. Has it even been open a year? I don't think it's been open a year yet.
I don't know,
but Kit points out that the 30% discount is for annual pass holders, not Magic Key holders.
Yeah, because they don't have Magic Key over in Florida.
But I mean that means that people from California can't enjoy that discount.
Don't get it. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep. I mean, unless it's cheaper for you to get an AP in Florida to then get the discount.
Gosh, it might be.
I mean, at one point it used to be that
what's 30% off of $6,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I mean, way back when, if you go to many years ago, it was easier to get like an annual pass to
we know a lot
parks.
of people who would go to Florida every other year on vacation,
Yeah.
and they would get an annual pass and use the first 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks. I guess that's once a year, actually.
Yeah, and it seemed like the better deal than to do it the other way around, you know.
Yeah. June is
It's
a celebration.
$1,800 off, by the way.
Okay.
If 30% is $1,800 off of whatever the price is.
Wow.
Gotcha.
June is Pixar month.
Yep.
July is the Fab Five with Mickey, Minnie, and Friends providing swell fun.
Woo!
August is Disney princesses and Frozen characters. September is all about superheroes, and that is all they wrote. And it says, it seems that there won't actually be any new offerings at the park for most of these themes, but we'll have to wait and see if they don't bring something out.
Well, I mean, they'll probably have meet and greet character stuff. That makes sense. But you also have to bear in mind that after September, or starting in September, typically, is like Halloween season, and they're creeping up on Christmas, and the like stuff that they do anyway. I expect to have a really low impact.
Yeah.
Where do they put their superheroes? Like Tomorrowland or the Disney Studio Park? Is it like one
you
of
know
those
what I
two?
did?
'Cause
It'll be
they don't
Disney
have
There
Studios.
were
I
fewer
think.
and fewer details the farther into the article it went.
yeah,
So,
I expect the heroes to be at Hollywood Studios.
that'd be my guess too. Because
the only thing it says is,
land.
and September will be all about superheroes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lame article.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
it's like I wonder.
Right. I got to tell you, I hid Inside the Magic from my Facebook feed or from my phone. Like I kept getting...
This isn't an article from Inside
I know
Magic.
it's not.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I kept getting so many sensationalist, dopey articles. And I guess the guy who originally founded the site, like, handed it off to somebody or sold it to somebody a couple of years ago. And they have just been getting more and more and more and more clickbaity. And it's ridiculous. Like the one article that really ticked me off was like Back to the Future reboot has new actors, and Bob Gale and Zemeckis have said there will be no reboot, there will be no Back to the Future 4, there will not be anything. And what this really turned out to be was an article about the musical, and how there were people who were not the original movie cast playing the characters in the musical. It was the most moronic article at all. And I'm like, you guys are dead to me now.
Going back to the 30% discount for annual pass holders.
Yes.
it's a moot point because there are no annual passes available.
Wow.
Of course.
Okay. Moving on to trailers.
I didn't watch very many trailers.
Did you watch the Freaks and Geeks?
I did. That one I did see.
That we had characters from Freaks and Geeks, Will and Sam and wait,
Martin?
yeah, is it Will? Am I confusing it with Stranger
You're
Things?
confusing it with Stranger Things.
Sam and Dean. No.
No.
What were the character names from Freaks and Geeks?
Freaks and Geeks were Sam, Bill, and oh shoot, who was our other guy? The actor's name is Sam, which always confuses me. Shoot, he's not even on. Oh, Neil. Neil was his name.
Okay. So, Dungeons and Dragons is either directed or written by
John Francis
Daly, who was Sam in. No, he wasn't Sam. He was.
He was Sam.
Oh, because the actor's name is Sam.
Right.
Gotcha.
What you just said.
Yes.
He was Sam in Freaks and Geeks, and so they did like a retro little trailer bit that was, they didn't directly refer to, like, they're not in the movie, but they have the three of them as the adults they are today playing D&D.
And I'll run it in a second.
Oh, okay.
But-
Sorry. I'll stop trying to explain
But
it
the
badly.
the thing that I want to point out is so John Francis Daly started as an actor. He was in Freaks and Geeks. He was in 5/25/77, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. We've seen him in Bones and things like that. But he split off and decided to start writing and producing. So his writing credits include this Dungeons and Dragons movie that's about to open, the Vacation reboot, National Lampoon's Vacation, Spider-Man Homecoming, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Horrible Bosses. I mean, he's got a bunch of stuff that he did, and he's writing a movie based on the cartoon series Mask right now, which is interesting. Something called The $40,000 Man. So he kind of left acting to go and do these things and to produce and direct movies, which are crazy. And apparently he's really good at it because they keep giving him more movies.
Nice.
Yeah, so really interesting stuff. But I'll run this. The audio should be sufficient on this to be entertaining if you're listening to us on the radio. But here's the guys. If you saw Freaks and Geeks, this is them just a little later in their lives.
Oh, a 4. The gray ooze and the black pudding slowly pull you and Carlos the dwarf into their sticky ooze, dissolving your flesh and bone.
Can I roll again?
No, you have no flesh, you have no bone. You're dead.
Sorry, man, he's right. You are dead.
Does this mean that I get to keep the orb of constant pleasant vibration?
Yes, the orb is yours to keep.
Hell yeah.
We should probably wrap it up. It's getting late. We've been playing for 23 years.
Man, time really flies when you're playing D&D. How long have you had that beard?
I don't know. You?
Huh. Not sure. Where's your beard?
Haven't hit puberty yet.
It'll happen.
Thanks.
Well, I should get going. My parents are probably worried. My parents are still alive.
You know, it's such a fun game. Someone should make it into a movie.
That'd never work.
Why would
What
you
am
even
I
say
thinking?
that?
It's the stupidest idea in the world.
Hope that never happens.
It won't.
And of course, I played that whole thing, and it didn't switch over to show the movie to the people on the video because we're lame. Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyway, 23 years in the making, it says. Kind of cool stuff. Oh well.
At any rate, and there was also a trailer that was going around with it, but I don't think it was a new trailer. I think we talked about it or saw it a week or two ago. I have to say that I haven't been much excited to see any movies lately, but I would like to see the D&D one. It looks like just a fun popcorn movie.
I'm seeing it tomorrow night. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Cool.
One of the trailers had a spot in it, and that basically references the old cartoon
Oh, that's cool.
from the 80s. So
Well, how could you not? Really?
that's all I'm going to say. So I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but yeah.
Well, and there was a car commercial that basically wrapped up the 80s cartoon series, because the cartoon series ended with our main characters from our Earth timeline trapped in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and they never got out. And so somebody, I don't know, Renault or somebody did a car commercial where the kids get out and they end up back at the carnival that they started at that was in the opening credits sequence. It was really kind of cool and clever. But you had to know you had to know the cartoon to know what the hell they were talking about. Otherwise, it was just a weird car commercial.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, commercials like that can be fun.
Excuse me.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, next is Gamera Rebirth coming to Netflix in 2023. Jeff, what do you think?
It looks really cool. I definitely do want to see this.
All right.
I love the art style they're going with. That it's CG, but that's what they've been doing lately. Like with the TMNT trailer that came out, where they made it. They're all following in the footsteps of like Spider-Verse, where they have a certain stylistic thing to the CG they're doing.
It's like a flat shaded CG look to it, because like the characters look like they're 2D animated in a 3D environment.
Yeah.
But it's very anime.
Yes.
Which seems appropriate for Gamera.
Yeah.
And
so
we're Gamera fans over here, so
yes.
we'll have to see.
Totally.
And so it's a 6-episode TV series.
On Netflix.
Yeah, and so it's like Gamera fights 6 kaiju, and Gamera has always been a hero. He's never been posited as like a villain. He has been the he's a protector of the galaxy and friend of all children.
Yeah, a misunderstood, clumsy giant turtle in the very first movie. In a sense.
Right. So yeah,
I'm an animal.
I'm in, and I think it'll be fun. I have a couple of the Gamera movies on Blu-ray, the new ones, which actually they were really pretty decent. And surprisingly so, because how entertaining is a dude in a rubber suit?
At least you skipped Gamera the Brave.
I did not watch Gamera. I think
Gamera the Brave was
I have I think Guardian of the Universe is the one I've got.
And then the attack of the Gamera versus Legion, and then versus Iris, I think, is the last one of those three.
Yeah, 1999, and
so.
If
you have Prime, you can also watch them on there, and basically every Gamera movie except maybe Brave. I'm not sure if that's on there.
Oh, okay.
It might be.
Well, Gamera the Brave was from 2005, and that's one that I have not seen.
Yeah, they even have I think they even have the really bad Gamera movie, which is like, it was like Gamera Super Monster or something like that. It was.
Yeah, that was from 1980.
That one's really bad. That's probably the worst of the Gamera movies, but yeah.
That's pretty funny.
And then we have Asteroid City coming to theaters soon. I did not watch this one.
Isn't that a song from Guns N' Roses?
Yes.
Take me down to the Asteroid City.
Right. Jeff, did you watch this trailer?
For Asteroid City?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It looks really cool.
Tell us about it?
Yeah.
Okay, first off, Wes Anderson. I'm going to start with that.
Oh, wait. I did watch this. Duh, I'm the one that put it in the document. I totally thought this was something else, and I watched the trailer like 3 days ago. Oh my god, I need to see this.
Yes.
So this was the other. Okay, I'm excited about going to theaters again.
Yeah.
It's first off, I mean, what is not cool about a Wes Anderson movie?
Right.
Yeah.
It's set in like early 1960s space travel camp.
It's got
in
such
the
like a really cool look to it. It is so super saturated. It looks like those old Instamatic pictures, how they were all super
totally
washed
does.
out, and
Yeah.
or movies that were printed in that 3-strip Technicolor film. But they have, it's got such a, you could tell it's a Wes Anderson movie just by looking at it. And it's absolutely crazy.
And the release date for this is June 16th.
I am
in limited theatrical release.
I am super into it. And the idea is that it shows you what they thought the future was going to be like.
Yes.
And it's like all the things when you go back and you like, the house of tomorrow kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Is really, really super cool. So
And if you're a fan of Wes Anderson movies, this looks like standard Wes Anderson material, so you won't want to miss it.
I'm in.
I also shared. What were you going to say, Jeff?
I was saying, wasn't there another show that I wanted? There's another show that was similar to this, not necessarily in the look.
Yes,
but that was out or coming out.
It was like a
TV show.
It was like a TV show about a guy who was trying to sell plots of land on the moon. But he was like a shyster or something, whatever was going on. There was some sort of con artist thing happening. We reviewed the trailer. We announced the trailer here. And I don't remember.
Hello Tomorrow. Premiering February 17th on Apple TV+.
Yeah, oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have, none of us have Apple TV+.
So it came out, and we don't have Apple TV+.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Wah, wah,
there goes
wah.
that.
Okay, why is Bridgerton releasing on Star Wars Day? What is wrong with them?
And why are they not... You notice that it's a Bridgerton story?
Yes.
They are already branching out on their own. They're not following the storyline of the novels.
Well, I mean, how many novels are there?
How many siblings are there? If there are like 7 siblings, there are 7 novels.
Okay.
And they've only done 2 of them.
Well, and the weird thing about the trailer is it's like...
They do 2 or 3. It's 2, right?
I thought they did 2 seasons of Bridgerton.
Yeah, it was confusing because like the 3rd novel or the 4th novel is where you find out who the writer is, and instead they showed that to you at the end of the first season,
like
so
right off the bat.
Why did they
way to kill the
spill
mystery
the beans so quickly?
Yeah. This is young Queen Charlotte's marriage to King George of England.
I admit, interesting story,
Right.
and I'm going to watch it. I'm just going to whine a little bit about them taking a story into the past and not continuing on.
But it's totally the Game of Thrones thing to do.
Yeah.
But
whatever.
yeah,
But I'll still watch it.
Seems kind of dopey.
Yeah. Coming to theaters on May 12th, Knights of the Zodiac.
Yeah.
This is from Sony.
Yeah.
And
man,
I'm not even really sure what is going on in the movie. It's like kind of superhero, kind of kung fu. Yeah. Does Sean Bean die? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Geez.
Oh, I have a description here if you want me to read the description. Right. Based on the international anime sensation, Knights of the Zodiac brings the Saint Seiya saga to the big screen in live action for the first time. Seiya, a headstrong street teen, spends his time fighting for cash while he searches for his abducted sister. When one of his fights unwittingly taps into mystical powers he never knew he had, Seiya finds himself thrust into a world of warring saints, ancient magical training, and a reincarnated goddess who needs his protection.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. And it looks better because they did a trailer. They did a teaser trailer ways back for this, and I saw that and I was like, this looks
Bad.
terrible.
Right. Very
And now
bad.
that this looks better. I can say it does not something I think I would go out and actually see in theaters. I'll wait for it to show up before I can see it for free or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's a really diverse cast.
yeah,
Which and the only real names that I recognize in this are Famke Janssen and
Yes.
Sean Bean.
yeah,
I guess Nick Stahl.
same here.
But like, who?
Who the hell are these guys?
But it does kind of make me think of Shazam for some reason. So,
I suppose so, a little bit.
but I don't know. I mean, if you're a fan of the anime, you should totally check it out.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna chalk up to my being old. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
And then coming to theaters on June 16th, Elemental. Anybody?
oh, we skipped one.
Wait, we
did we?
skipped one?
We did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No,
Oh, okay.
No, you didn't. I skipped one.
Okay.
This is
Oh,
the
anyway.
None of us
I'm in
watched
trouble.
it.
no. This
Oh,
is
Elemental?
the Romeo and Juliet one.
Yeah,
Where
you
it's
know,
it's fire and water fall in love.
yeah. What if the elements had feelings?
Right. Which is kind of weird. I mean, the animation is super crazy stylish,
Oh yeah, totally.
but
yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
it's a Pixar movie.
yeah.
yeah,
And it kind of makes me think of Inside Out a little bit.
yeah.
I mean, apologies for not watching these movies, or trailers, but I was not feeling well before the show.
Oh yeah, not really, not a big deal. Yeah.
And then the next
That's
one
cute.
is called Shin Kamen Rider. It's a Japanese movie that this is interesting. It was completed on March 6, 2023, premiered in Japan on March 17th, 2023, and was
Yeah.
released nationwide on March 18th, 2023. So
Yeah.
it's already out.
Well, and Kamen Rider was a 1970s costume series where
Yeah,
basically, like kind of like Ultraman and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Lots of, people in bug costumes and cool
It
bikes.
came,
And
So
when
you
it got
should
here,
be
it was
able to
called,
find this on Tubi, Roku, and Pluto right now.
it came over here and had American shots added. Shot at mix in, much like they do with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
like they do.
and
Right.
it's called Masked Rider when it got for that one.
Right.
But yeah, this is way more violent and graphic and
Now, I saw...
flashy.
what was the name of this movie? I have to look now. There's
Yeah.
a movie that some friends of mine did that is it's a takeoff on Power Rangers, and it's called the name of the group is called Tobacco Squad. The movie is called
Okay.
Smoking Causes Coughing. And
Okay.
it's basically like if National Lampoon took on the Power Rangers. It's a French movie. And the only reason I know about it is because a friend of mine who makes droids for Star Wars movies in England made the main droid for this team. And so it's
okay.
like, it's super cheesy. Apparently they're all like chain smokers. The humor's really crazy raunchy. It's really, really bizarre. But it's apparently like winning awards on the festival circuit. So if you somehow need this in your life, look for something called Smoking Causes Coughing. It is not for kids, despite the fact that they look like the Power Rangers. I'm warning you right now. Because it's like, it's way over the top, and it's in French, and it's like got a very French sensibility to it. But I'm just kind of impressed that somebody even made this movie, because it's just out of control wrong.
Yeah.
But since we were talking about characters in costume, like Masked Rider and things like that,
Yes.
if you're up for a really weird ass movie, check that out. Smoking causes coughing. Real weird. And gross. It's kind of gory, too.
Oh, okay.
I'll warn you that, too.
Much like the trailer we just saw for that one.
Worse. Oh, way worse. Yeah, so much worse.
Sean, do you want to take the next?
I will. We have a mercifully short obituary section this week. Paul O'Grady passed away. He started as a social worker protecting kids, and then became a drag icon, and just kind of got his start in the 80s. And his drag character was called Lily Savage, who was like just one of those kind of rip you apart sort of over the top drag queens. Became super popular on television and whatnot, and recently passed away. I was looking to see. Died unexpectedly but peacefully. Didn't say of what, but everybody's been chiming in on his passing, including like Camilla Parker Bowles and people like that. Just was a national icon of the UK. So sad to hear, and pleased that we don't have like a list as long as my arm. It seems to have been the case lately. So many people passing away. It's been brutal.
Yeah. Thank goodness it's lesser.
Right?
Jeff, you want to start the speed round?
Sure. So the Captain America 4, they're working on it, and they have someone, let's see, this will be the third person coming back now to the MCU from the second Hulk movie, Incredible Hulk. So we have Liv Tyler. She's going to be coming back as Betty Ross.
Nice.
Again.
Okay.
And she'll be in Captain America: New World Order, with her quote unquote dad,
Harrison Ford.
Yeah. So
as General Ross.
Yes. The other person that's coming back is the other two. They had the actor that played the Abomination, and because he came back for She-Hulk.
He was in She-Hulk, yeah.
Yeah, and then I can never remember his name, but the character that was the doctor that helps him out in Incredible Hulk is coming back. I believe, I think it's in this one. I can't remember if it's this one or a different one, but he's coming back as he'll be the leader, which is the character that he's supposed to, the bad guy he becomes, and that's the I can't remember his name. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, whatever,
Right.
Yeah. Tim.
Oh, George, not the livestock. Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah. Tim Blake Nelson. Yeah. So he'll be the leader coming out. So yeah.
Now this is
pretty cool.
This is with Anthony Mackie, right? It's Captain America.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we're moving along, which is good. So good. I just wanted to make sure they weren't like doing something dumb and recasting him, and they were actually letting him be Captain America in a movie.
Yeah.
Because that would suck if they didn't.
Danny Ramirez is coming back again. He was in the series, and Carl Lumbly is going to be back as Isaiah Bradley, and a few other folks. But I think of the comic books, when Sam becomes Captain America, Joaquin Torres becomes the new Falcon. So I wonder if that's what they're going to end up doing. So I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
Be interesting. Yeah.
I want to talk about some unfortunate news. Game Developers Conference in San Francisco was just, last week?
Yeah.
I think it was last week. And actually it was last week. Sorry. Looking at my calendar. And there was an off-site karaoke party hosted by a PR agency called Stride. that works on games such as Dying Light 2 and Bright Memory Infinite.
The classics.
Yeah. At the event, several people were roofied. And unknown what happened to them after they were roofied. And there is apparently not a police report, or the police aren't releasing it. But several people have reported being roofied at that particular party. And a lot of women reported being harassed on the show floor. So if you go to industry events or other conventions, best to be very careful with your drinks. Don't leave your drinks uncovered. Don't.
Anywhere you drink, period.
Yeah.
I don't care where you are, even if it's a party among friends, keep track of your drink.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to turn out to be a weirdo.
Yeah.
And
drink a soda and keep it in a covered,
right.
a closed container.
Like
Bring
a
your
bottle
own.
or something.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous how frequently this happens, and it sucks that this happens at like industry events and things like that. But anywhere. It could be a Comic-Con. It could be.
That doesn't help. Keeping your drink covered doesn't help with the assault that takes place.
It does not. No.
On the show floor.
No.
Just
Stay with keep
bring a buddy.
Keep in groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean.
Sort of piggybacking onto that, here in Los Angeles for years and years and years and years and years, we have had the entertainment expo, what they call E3, and Reed Pop has been running that lately. They're the guys behind Star Wars Celebration and a bunch of other shows. I think they do C2, E2, and things like that. That's all they do. They just run big conventions and whatnot. They have announced that E3 2023 isn't going to happen. It's usually in June. This is where a lot of the game developers announce their projects. They give you hands-on. It's meant as a press and industry event, although that has been flexible in past years. And it has run the gamut from like really tight, super industry only, come look at our stuff, to open public to everybody. It's been like a big trade show, and it's been really, really, close and mellow. So they've tried lots of different things, and this year they've just called it off. No physical event, no digital event. The Entertainment Software Association is re-evaluating everything with them. Their webpage just has a very basic thing that says it's not going to happen. It's with all the stuff going on in the gaming industry and the kind of assaults that they're talking about, and the various companies like Activision Blizzard, who are facing legal charges for sexist cultures in their workplace and things like that. I'm kind of not surprised. And in fact, there was an announcement made not too long ago that we talked about on this show that the big companies, basically Sony with PlayStation, Microsoft with Xbox, and Nintendo, were not going to be at E3. They were going to do their own off-site events. Yeah. So, E3 was going to be missing the big three that usually go there for console games and stuff. So, on one hand, I'm disappointed. I always usually try to find a way to go, and I always enjoy it. But on the other hand, with the current climate and things, I kind of understand. I am hoping they'll issue a press release that sort of explains why. Because if they're trying to make a point, we're not going to know unless they tell us. So we'll have to see. And although, because so much information is disseminated online, and so many games get previews online, and we have trailers for games and all that kind of stuff, E3 might just be redundant. It might just be time to call it and see. So I'll miss it as a social event, because like going to a science fiction convention, there's a lot of people I know that I see. A lot of smaller companies, like the company that Colleen works for, can have a presence there, and it's a great way to meet people who could use the talents and abilities of particular small companies. But, maybe people are going to GDC instead, the Game Developers Conference, which is also a pretty big industry event, which also used to be held down here. I've been to that a couple times. And it's a lot of people who are basically like, look what we can do for you. And E3 used to be that way too, but not this year. So we'll see if it ever comes back. I don't know.
Jeff?
Hey, my last one is not on the list, so I'm gonna I'll post the link inside of the Twitch chat, and I'll say hi to Rose because this actually has something to do with what she's at Knott's right now.
Oh, cool.
Watching a show by the Mine Ride, and my thing is that the Knott's Boysenberry Festival has been extended, so it was supposed to end on the 16th of April. And it happens on the weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it is actually going to be going. Excuse me. It'll be going to through May 7th now. So weekends through May 7th because of the rain. The rain kind of rained out a few of them, so they decided to extend it out a bit. So there you go.
I want to talk about Disney and its control of the Florida county in which Disney World is in. The governor of Florida, basically took back the Disney concessions from Disney.
That was Ron DeSantis, right?
Yes.
Did that? Yeah.
Yes. And before the board of directors that was in charge of that left, they voted on some sorry, I'm trying to get to the spot where I had it written down. They said a particular focus was paid to one section of the agreement that board members said places certain restrictions on the district until 21 years after the death of the youngest current descendant of King Charles, or until Disney abandons the resort. The district means anything having to do with roads, trees, sanitation, anything like that. That Disney has been in charge of that before, and now the state of Florida is going to take it over, and they get to say what Disney can and can't do there. And these restrictions that they put on there say that you can't have any other, like they can't put other companies in there without Disney's approval. And of note, that the youngest current descendant of King Charles is Princess Lilibet, and she was born in 2021. So, 21 years after the death of the youngest current descendant, and that they'll still have that control. And the Ron DeSantis's lawyers are trying to...
Why are we using British royalty as...
No idea, but it's hysterical.
It's ridiculous.
It's very funny.
And I remember us talking about this before, and the people who live in the area are really afraid that Florida's not going to have the financial interest to maintain the infrastructure if Florida takes over from Disney. That the roads are going to go to crap, the electricity is going to go to crap, everything's going to disintegrate because Disney has the financial ability to take care of it and the
state of Florida
incentive to do it, whereas the state of Florida doesn't care.
Right. So it's kind of amusing how the outgoing board did that, and the lawyers are saying, this isn't right, you can't do it. But the board, when they did it, it was all legal, and they announced when the public hearings were going to be on it, and nobody from Ron DeSantis's team showed up.
Sure.
So they were able to pass that.
It was a sign in a filing cabinet in a disused laboratory with a sign that said, "Beware the leopard."
Right. Sean, what do you want to talk about?
Wow. To kind of piggyback on your Disney thing, there's a couple of people who got kind of laid off from Disney and Marvel. The first one was Jeffrey R. Epstein, no connection to the scary pedophile. He was vice president of corporate communications. I actually liked him. He was a nice guy. I met him. We'd talked for a while, and he's basically was the guy who was the spokesperson for D23. So if you're a D23 fan, you know him from there. He's been around for quite a long time. He got laid off this week, which is kind of a bummer because he was a big flag carrier. Stephen Clark, who we also worked with as Star Wars characters and stuff, helped develop the concept of D23 and worked on that. And then Epstein's been there for like a long time when Stephen Clark left. So it's kind of a drag because he's super passionate about Disney, and that's exactly the kind of person you want doing D23. But it doesn't really say why they booted it. He co-founded Gay Days at Disneyland, which are hyper positive, and he was very big on support for LGBTQ plus things in the parks and with the Disney related companies. It was partially at his request that Colleen and I went up and did the Pride Parade in San Francisco with the Star Wars car. And he was one of the guys behind the diversity department that they did to help everybody within the Disney family of companies feel comfortable working for them and make sure they were getting their needs. He, in my experience, your mileage may vary, he was a good guy. And I think booting him just, unless he wanted to leave, it seems like a really terrible idea. So, kind of bummed about that. We knew that the layoffs were going to happen. I'm just surprised that Epstein is one of them. And then we lost somebody from Marvel as well. This one people aren't feeling so bad about. Ike Perlmutter got laid off.
Thank goodness.
He was a very polarizing individual. He was 80 years old. He'd been there for a while. And they basically just decided that his position was redundant. There were a lot of people that felt that he was a little too old school. And it wasn't
one way to put it.
treating people very well. And Perlmutter was really intent on firing Kevin Feige, too.
Yeah.
Which would have been a terrible thing. And Feige almost went to D.C. because of Perlmutter, because he was a jerk. So I feel a lot less concerned about this than I do about Epstein over at Disney. And honestly, Marvel's got some flexibility. We'll see what happens. So that's those two guys are gone. We'll see how they be better without those guys. We'll have to see.
All right, we have 2 minutes left. Is that enough time for Jeff to take one more?
Yeah, do one more, Jeff.
A real short one here, and this is the good news. This year's Cadbury Easter Bunny is a one-eyed rescue cat named Crash.
Nice.
A cat?
Every year they get he's a cat. And they show him in the picture, he's got like little bunny ears, and you can see his, you can see the one eye that's there, the one eye that's closed, it's not there. Yeah.
So we have that was quick enough that we have enough time for me to slip one in there.
Do it.
And that is Ke Huy Quan is going to be in season 2 of Loki.
Yay!
Woo! So he's going to be part of the MCU.
Yay! That's awesome. There's so much stuff that we didn't talk about, and I teased
Whatever.
on our little thing. Oh well.
Yeah,
Sorry if you were listening for a particular thing. I apologize.
Yeah.
Maybe next week we'll get to it.
It'll be a rollover.
Regardless, if you've been checking us out on sci-fi.radio, thanks for listening. If you're watching us anywhere, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, thank you for doing that. To all you guys chatting over on the chat, thanks for being there. We appreciate your time. We know we run kind of late
Oof.
on some parts of the coast of the country and around the world, wherever you guys might be checking in from. We will do this all again next week. I'll be on the air tomorrow for Good Morning Tatooine. You can find me at sci-fi.radio at 9 a.m. Pacific time to wrap out Friday with our usual music history show. And then let's do this again next week, shall we?
I'm Colleen Kaylee Crosby.
This is just a little.
I am Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby. As always, may the force be with you. Let's do a little credits action over here.
Night, everybody.
There we go. And we will see all y'all later on video.